Hello and welcome to Leadership Live at Lunchtime, which is a masterclass on leadership positioned as a lunch and learn to help you level up your leadership and grow your potential. We are live from My Growth Academy, where our vision is kingdom standards in educational excellence. I am a leadership coach and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and I've taken on the challenge to develop 1,000 leaders worldwide through free masterclass sessions and weekly 90-minute masterminds. My name is Simon Fiyun, and this is my masterclass. Before we get started, I want you to share with me what is your expectation of the class today. In the comments below, what are you excited about? What do you want to learn? And we want to see if we can possibly meet those expectations for you today. Today, I'm going to look at developing leadership skills as an area of growth. Actually, relationships in leadership as an area of growth to discover your own potential and purpose. I'll be looking at the following: the importance of relationships in leadership, the significance of it, understanding the foundations of relationships, the art of effective communication, building trust and credibility. We're going to look at emotional intelligence and empathy. We're going to highlight and overview that because we've done it before. We're going to look at nurturing a positive work environment, authentic leadership, managing and navigating difficult relationships, and also sustaining healthy relationships over time. If you like what you hear today and want to level up your leadership potential, skills, and impact, look out for the registration link in the description of this video for my weekly mastermind. This is a premium leadership group coaching program where I take you to the next level in your leadership, 90 minutes at a time. So let me get the slides up and let's start our engagement. Here you go. Right. So we're going to discuss relationships in leadership. And I want to just give you an overview of what we want to achieve today. We want to understand the role of relationships in our leadership, because there's a big significance in the relationship of relationships in leadership and how they impact team dynamics, communication, trust, and overall organizational success. I want to help you develop key relationships and give you relationships building skills and show you some practical strategies and techniques that you can apply today. And then we're going to apply relationship-centered leadership. And here we're going to give you actionable insights and personalized action plan that you can implement right away. But let's quickly talk about the importance of relationships in leadership. The first one is you'll have better and improved employee or team engagement. There's a sense of belonging and engagement among your team members. Everyone feels valued and supported by their leaders, and they are motivated and committed to achieving the success and the tasks and the goals that's in front of them. Through building relationships, you'll increase your trust and your credibility. This way, people will follow the leader's direction, take risks, and they are open to feedback and new ideas. We're going to focus on communication and collaboration. And communication is vital for you in sharing information, resolving conflicts, and also for your team to achieve common goals. Good relationships also increase employee retention and loyalty. The more satisfaction and loyalty there is in a team, the better the cohesiveness and the engagement with the team. It also enhances adaptability and resilience, because a strong team with strong relationships is able to navigate difficulties together, and they can do it at a higher level. You will be increasing and developing innovation and creativity, because team members that are engaged and have good relationships feel comfortable sharing ideas and collaborating with each other on new solutions. Here's an important one: conflict resolutions. Healthy relationships provide a platform for addressing conflicts constructively. Leaders who have established trust can mediate disagreements and find solutions where everybody benefits. You'll have better employee well-being. The better the relationships, the better the environment that people work in. And because of that, employees or team members feel better and they have a better working environment. It's important for influence and inspirations. The better and the deeper your relationships are with your team members, the better you can influence them towards success and also inspire them to greatness. And then lastly, organizational culture. A culture built on trust, respect, and positive relationships creates a more productive and harmonious work environment. Of all of those ones that I shared with you, which one of those stand out for you? Which one of those do you think is the best or the most important to this process? Next, we want to talk about understanding the foundations of relationships. And first, I want to give a definition of relationships in leadership. And it refers to connection and interaction established between leaders and the team members, the peers, the stakeholders, and other individuals in the organization. Those connections are based on trust, on communication, mutual respect, and understanding, and it plays a crucial role in influencing team dynamics, productivity, and overall success. Let's look quickly at the significance of relationships in leadership. If your relationships in your leadership and your team are great, you have better increased trust and increased engagement because you have a positive work environment. People feel safe to voice their opinions, take calculated risks, and contribute their best efforts to the team. The second one, it's significant because of the effective communication. Through good relationships within your team, you are able to develop meaningful connections with your team. And when you have deeper and more meaningful connections, it reduces misunderstandings, it enhances collaboration, and promotes a culture of transparency between the team members. And then lastly, organizational performance will increase. Okay? Leaders who prioritize relationships can leverage their influence to align team members to the organization's vision and values. You also have smoother decision-making process through it. Let me highlight for you 3 relationships that are pertinent or important to cultivate in leadership. The first one is personal relationships. So personal relationships are categorized by a sense of trust, empathy, and genuine care. They involve in understanding team members' strengths, weaknesses, aspirations, and their personal challenges. Leaders who develop personal connections with their team members can better support their growth and their development, leading to increased performance within the team and also loyalty. The second type of relationship is professional relationships. These focus on the interactions between leaders and their colleagues, peers, or superiors in the organizations. They are primarily work-orientated and revolve around collaboration, shared goals, and mutual respect. Professional relationships play a vital role in facilitating effective teamwork, communication, and knowledge sharing within the organization. It's crucial for building strong networks, seeking mentorships opportunities, and advancing your career. And lastly is organizational relationships. These are connection between leaders, stakeholders, and those stakeholders include executives, board members, clients, suppliers, and also any external parties. Nurturing positive organizational relationships is essential for effective leadership and business success. Let's talk quickly about the impact of relationships on team performance and productivity. Strong relationships foster collaboration, effective communication, and trust within a team. This leads to increased motivation, engagement, which is super important, and accountability, which is also a big element of success. Let me share with you the art of effective communication and why it's important in leadership and the relationships that you have. Now, in previous sessions, I want to just refer back to them. We have spoken about active listening, and this is about developing empathetic and attentive communication. This is a big part of my framework where it's important for you to ask questions, seek feedback, and listen actively to people's responses. Your team will grow and will increase in effectiveness if you give the floor to your team members and let them contribute to the conversation. When they do, they feel valued, they're more engaged, and they buy into the larger vision and the goals that you have as a team. Active listening requires you to listen without looking to respond, but rather listening to understand and then feeding back your understanding. And this way, people feel heard, they feel valued, and they feel like they are part of the process. The second one is the power of clarity and transparency in communication. Now, when you communicate, I always say it's not really possible to over-communicate. The more you communicate clearly in terms of vision, goals, objectives, mission, directives, etc., the clearer that communication is, the better the team is going to be performing. And also transparency, all right? People don't want to find out there were secrets or closed-door discussions. So it's important to always communicate exactly what is going on, so everybody is on the same page and they can move forward with clarity. Let's look at building trust and credibility within your team. Trust is essential in leadership and the relationships that you build. It builds strong bonds, enables open communication, fosters innovation, and boosts employee engagement and loyalty. Now, I want to share with you some strategies that you can use in building trust, strategies and techniques. The first one is lead it. Show people. Remember, people do what people see. So if they see you constantly demonstrate integrity, honesty, and ethical behavior, they will follow suit. And this is a great way in building trust. I always say that it's in a relationship, it doesn't matter how new it is. It's always good to start with trust. Give trust and tell people, I trust you with this. And unless they break that trust, it's a good way to start a relationship. Demonstrate integrity, honesty, and ethical behavior in your actions, and be consistent in your words and deeds to build that credibility. We've already spoken about active listening, but this is a great way to build trust with people. If people feel they are heard and they're valued, you'll have trust develop in the relationship. We spoke about transparency as well. Share relevant information open and honestly. Keep your team informed about important decisions, changes, and organizational updates so you can avoid any feelings of secrecy and mistrust. I have already covered this. Respect and empathy. Treat your team with this. And you can do this by understanding their perspectives, acknowledge their feelings, and be supportive during times that they are challenged or they might be going through a difficult time. Delegate with trust. I've already spoken about this, but here you allow them to showcase their skills and take ownership of their stewardship of what they've been given. By doing this, you will increase the trust in the relationship and people will follow you more wholeheartedly because they know that I am valued in this team and I am trusted with what I've been given. Next is to deliver on commitments. Here it's speaking about promises made, commitments made, follow through on those. When you do, you increase your trust every time. It builds reliability. Next is very, very important. When you as a leader make a mistake, admit your mistake and take responsibility for it. This is one of the most powerful things that you can do as a leader. It shows vulnerability and transparency and show that you can lead through mistakes. If you demonstrate humility and accountability, when you make errors, shows that you're human, it builds trust, and other people can also follow suit. Remember, we spoke about leading with example. Next, very powerful thing is providing recognition. If you celebrate the achievements of your team, it fosters a positive and supportive environment. People trust you because if they do something for you and you acknowledge them a lot of times publicly, and we're going to break this down a little bit later in the session today. But if you do that, people trust you and they say, well, I'm going to do something for you and I'm going to help you achieve something that you would like us to achieve, but you're going to acknowledge it. Let me segue here and just pause and say, as a leader, it's always very powerful to take the blame and give recognition and praise. So never do it the other way around. So never give blame and never take the credit, right? That's a very, very powerful leadership principle that I found very powerful. The next one, for you to build trust, make sure that you're accessible. Be approachable and available to your team. Encourage an open door policies where your team members can freely come and share their concerns or seek guidance when it's needed. Next one is to foster team building. Encourage team building activities and make opportunities available for social interactions. This is a very, very powerful tool in team or in leadership because they help strengthen relationships between team members and with you as the leader. Next one, second last one, invest in their development. Support your team's professional growth and development. Show them that you care about them, their success, their careers and well-being. And when you do that, it contributes to the trust and the loyalty that you deeply need to be successful. And then handle conflicts constructively. Address conflicts promptly and do it fairly. Mediate disagreements with impartiality and seek resolutions that consider all perspectives. Now, I want to ask you a question. Of the 12 that I just shared, which of the above 3 trust-building strategies do you think you can take action on right away? Which one of those do you feel comfortable implementing as soon as possible? Share with me in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you like what you hear so far today and want to level up your leadership potential, skills, and impact, look out for the registration link in this post for my weekly mastermind. This is a premium leadership group coaching program where I take you to the next level in your leadership 90 minutes at a time. Let's overview quickly emotional intelligence and empathy. I have extensively taught on this in previous sessions. So if you'd like to, this video, if it's on YouTube, is part of a playlist. And you can find where I've done emotional intelligence and empathy quite deeply before. So I want to just overview. It's important that you recognize the importance of emotional intelligence in your leadership. This means that you're aware of your own emotions, your values, and what drives you. And that helps as a cornerstone or foundation to connect with team members. And you'll connect with different team members on different levels in different ways. But it's important to have those connections with your team members because it builds trust, it builds camaraderie, and affinity with your team members. The second thing I want to encourage is developing empathy and understanding for team members' perspectives. This is where seeking feedback is very important. Open dialogue and active listening is very, very powerful. When your team knows that you understand them and that you understand their point of view and their perspective and their context, where they are from, that will help you lead better because understanding what the other person is going through or where they are working from will help you achieve a lot more. Let's look at nurturing a positive work environment. It's very, very important. Remember, I'm looking for your feedback. So if you have any of those 12, share with me any of those 3 things that you think you can implement right away. Let's look at nurturing a positive work environment. When you create a positive and supportive, inclusive workplace culture, it's important to emphasize respect and diversity. You want to foster a culture that values and celebrates diversity. encourage respect for different backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences, creating an environment where everyone feels included and valued. If you don't have this, you're constantly going to have conflict and disagreements, and also miscommunication between people. And that's where I want to start. I want to share with you some tips on how to get a good, supportive, and inclusive workplace. And the first one is promoting open communication. You want to establish channels for open and transparent communication. We encourage your team members to share their ideas, their concerns, and feedback, and do that without judgment. People need to feel safe in the environment where communication happens. For instance, if you have a group think scenario and everybody is contributing thoughts to maybe a solution or a problem that you might be facing, it's important to foster a culture of trust and collaboration. People must feel safe, and when they do, you're going to have better results from the exercise. You want to provide growth and development opportunities. We've spoken about this before, but you want to offer training, mentoring, and opportunities to advance in their careers. Remember, it's important for you to encourage people to be hungry for development and growth. When you do that, you'll also always have leaders going to the next level. And remember, as a leader, you always want to be at least 3 steps ahead. When you don't develop yourself regularly, what happens is your team members might start getting to the same level as you. And what happens here is you reach what they call the law of the lid. When you reach the law of the lid, there's a certain point where you cannot take your leaders further anymore because you have not gone further. Leadership is always about being 1 to 3 steps ahead of other people. So you don't have to be years ahead or miles ahead, but be a couple steps ahead so you can always lead your team forward with confidence. It's important to address bias and discrimination. Be proactive in addressing these instances of bias or discrimination. You want to implement policies and procedures that ensures fair and inclusive environment for everybody. Next, you want to encourage flexibility and work-life balance. This speaks to possibly having flexible work arrangements, for instance. Like you might have someone working in your office and she needs to drop off her kids. She's a mom. If you want her participation and engagement, ask her what is going to work for her and see if you can have her office hours match her schedule and how that's going to be. She's going to give you a lot more energy and engagement during the time that she's working if she doesn't have to worry about those external circumstances. You want to acknowledge the importance of personal well-being in your team and make sure that they are balanced. Team members that are overextended and don't take breaks and that are only engaged in the hyper intensity of the team building and exercises that you're busy with is eventually going to burn out, and they're not going to be of use for you. So you want to make sure that your team is always well balanced. You want to build and create a sense of belonging. Here again, team building activities and events are very valuable. And you want to encourage cross-team collaboration. I've seen where, and we should all know this, where certain teams work in silos and they never collaborate and they never work with each other, which means your team or your organization is never going to reach what we call synergy. Right? And that is where the sum of its part is greater than the individuals. You want to lead this as your leader, lead by example. So you want to embody the values of a supportive, inclusive workplace culture. You want to demonstrate empathy, fairness, and inclusivity. And as you go along with these processes, make sure that you evaluate and adjust. So here, what's very helpful is having surveys, polls, feedback sessions, and engagement with your team on a regular basis and assessing the situation. Then you want to use this data to identify areas for improvement and make the necessary adjustments to create a more positive, supportive, and inclusive environment. And lastly, establish clear policies and guidelines for this. If your employees or your team is aware of these policies and understand the consequences, then you'll have a better environment. What I want to talk about for a moment is recognizing and appreciating team members' contributions. And here I'm going to give you some tools. I call this edification. It's one very powerful tool in my leadership arsenal, and that is recognizing and edifying people for good character traits, good efforts that they made, being a success in a project, etc. And here are some things that you can look at. First, acknowledge the efforts and achievements of your teams. Recognize both individual and collective successes, highlighting the specific contributions that led to those outcomes. Personalized recognition is very, very important and very powerful, but you want to tailor this to suit the member that you're trying to recognize. Some of them like public praise, others don't like that, and they want rather private encouragement and praise. And sometimes just a note of appreciation might be very, very valuable. You want to give feedback timelessly. Recognize contributions as soon as possible after the accomplishment. You want to reinforce positive behavior and boost the morale of your team. I'm a big proponent of having growth mindset, but when you have certain goals, and it might be a little bit out of reach, it's important to build in milestones towards that goal. And then you want to do is you want to celebrate every one of those milestones. These moments of celebration foster a sense of camaraderie and reinforce a culture of appreciation in your team. You also encourage and empower peers to recognize each other. So this is where in all my teams, I encourage edification as a communication tool. You want to encourage a culture of peer recognition where team members are empowered to acknowledge each other's efforts and contributions. Build them up because this reinforces a positive and supportive work environment. You want to put reward systems in place. This could be employee recognition programs or performance-based incentives that you might have. Next, you want to connect recognition to company values. So obviously recognize the things that enforces an engagement with and an activity where your company values is reinforced through someone's good behavior or an activity that they have. Acknowledge how they embody and exemplify these principles. Then showcase contributions. This is where you share their achievements with the rest of the organizations. Building and edifying people in front of others is a very powerful tool. And obviously, you want to lead by example here. You want to demonstrate appreciation and gratitude for your team openly and regularly. Let's look now at authentic leadership. And we want to first start by understanding authentic leadership and its impact on relationships. All right. Let me pause there. Tell me a way of edification and recognition that you've seen done really well. Share it with me in the comments below. And even if you're watching this on the replay, I'd love to hear from you as well. I would love to hear examples of where something like this has been done really well. Authentic leadership is an approach that emphasizes self-awareness, genuineness, and transparency. So let's unpack authentic leadership a little bit. First is self-awareness and emotional intelligence. We've done classes on that before, so I'm not going to deep dive that. But this allows people to be more empathetic and understanding to other people's perspectives. You want to build genuine connections. This is where you look a person in the eye, you connect with them through same values, same interests, same goals, just making a proper connection and let people know, listen, I care about you and I want to help you succeed. This is one of the greatest things that a leader can do. You want to foster trust and psychological safety. This is a big step in understanding authentic leadership and its impact. right? Authentic leaders create culture of trust and psychological safety where team members feel comfortable being themselves, sharing ideas and taking risks. Then it's important to lead with integrity. This is your consistent behavior and ethical decision making that will build credibility and respect, reinforcing trust in the relationship. You want to be an inspirational leader. Through authenticity, you can inspire and motivate your team members with genuine passion and commitment. Your authentic leadership style encourages team members to align with the organization's mission and values. Resiliency and adaptability is important because authentic leaders are open about their vulnerabilities and embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Always use that language. It's an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to improve, and it's really helped me a lot. You want to empower others by encouraging autonomy and fostering a sense of ownership in their work. And lastly, encourage feedback and growth. As an authentic leader, you will welcome feedback and encourage continuous learning and personal development in your team. Their openness to feedback strengthens relationships by demonstrating that they are receptive to input and willing to grow alongside the team. Let's talk about embracing vulnerability and being genuine with your team. And this is very, very powerful leadership trait. If you're open and honest, embracing vulnerability means you're being open and honest with your team about your thoughts, feelings, and challenges. When leaders share their experiences and vulnerabilities, it creates a sense of authenticity and trust, making team members feel more comfortable, not just to follow you, but also to follow suit and do the same. And we shared some of these things already, so I'm going to highlight them. The first one is admitting mistakes. And on top of that, apologizing for those mistakes. When you show vulnerability and admitting when things go wrong, you set an example that it's okay to be imperfect and that learning from mistakes is part of professional and personal growth. Next thing is you could share personal stories. Leaders can foster deeper connections with the team by sharing relevant personal stories. How can I connect to what you're going through? And if I connect, it's more real for me and I have a better opportunity and I have a better way to relate to you as a human being. Next, we spoke about that at length, is seeking feedback and input. Demonstrating that you value people's perspectives and ideas creates a culture of open communication and mutual respect. Empathy and active listening, we've spoken about this at length, but showing you genuinely care about your team's well-being, understanding their challenges and offering support and guidance when needed will really help raise the level of your team. You want to build psychological safety. Embracing vulnerability fosters a culture of this where team members feel safe to take risks, share ideas, and express concerns, very importantly, without fear of judgment. And then lastly, you want to encourage a growth mindset through this. If you embrace vulnerability, you inspire a growth mindset within your team. You show that vulnerability can be a catalyst for growth and improvement. Leaders encourage team members to take on challenges and embrace new opportunities. Now, of the above that I shared with you, which are vulnerability, right? Which one of those are you comfortable taking action in the next week? Share with me in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's dive into managing and navigating difficult relationships. Now here we want to talk and highlight again about active listening and observation. To identify challenges in relationships, you as a leader must practice active listening and keen observation. Pay attention to verbal and non-verbal cues from team members and be attuned to any changes in behavior and the way that people communicate. So here are some ways that you can identify and address these challenges. First, seek feedback. Again, open feedback, communication is encouraged, safe space where people feel comfortable. Next, conduct regular check-ins. Schedule one-on-one check-ins with your team members to discuss any challenges. If you don't give them opportunity to share, you will never know and your team will never reach the next level. Assess team dynamics. See how your team members interact with each other during meetings and collaborations, and identify any signs of tension, conflicts, or lack of collaboration that you can immediately address it and deal with it. And when you see these things, it's important that you address conflict proactively. When they arise, address them promptly and constructively. Encourage open dialogue to resolve differences. Also, through all these exercises, what you will be able to do is identify root causes. When they arise, these challenges and conflicts, try to identify that. It could be a lack of clear communication, conflict priorities between people, or differences in working styles. If you understand the root causes, it helps you find appropriate solutions. Very powerful is to provide training and support. So training sessions and workshops on effective communication, conflict resolution, and emotional intelligence to equip team members with the skills needed to navigate these challenges in relationships. You want to foster a culture of respect. Set the tone as a leader. Again, lead by example. Set the tone for a respectful and inclusive work environment. If you establish guidelines for respectful communications and behavior, and hold team members accountable for adhering to these principles, you'll have a healthy environment. Addressing personal issues. There might be challenges in relationships that may stem from personal issues, and it affects the larger team. In these cases, you should offer empathy and support, while also encourage people to seek conclusion or resolutions to these. And lastly, again, lead by example. Obviously, this comes up a lot and is very important for the success that you might experience. If you like what you hear today, want to level up your leadership potential, skills, and impact, look out for the registration link below for my weekly mastermind. This is a premium leadership group coaching program where I take you to the next level in your leadership, 90 minutes at a time. Let's talk about strategies for managing conflicts and disagreements. And I'm going to highlight these, and I want to give you some tips. First, active listening. We spoke about that before. Make sure that you understand, that you listen, and only provide guidance after understanding properly. Make sure that you lead the way in this and show others how it's done. They will follow us. Remain calm and respectful. Sometimes we need to be firm but polite at the same time. Don't take sides, get emotionally involved, and make sure that you're not drawn into taking sides, and that's going to be detrimental for you. What you want to do is you want to find common ground. Look for areas of agreement and shared interest between these conflicting parties and identify common ground that helps build bridges and find collaborative solutions. Next, focus on the issue, not the person. So it's important to go and not judge people because they might be in environments that they didn't choose to be in. So you want to go and look at the issue and try and solve that specific issue. Next, you want to use I statements. Encourage the team members to use I statements to express their feelings and concerns without blaming other people. This again promotes open communication and reduces defensiveness. You might want to mediate between the people. So if necessary, involve a neutral third party as a mediator to facilitate discussion and guide a conflict resolution process. Mediators can be very valuable in maintaining productive and respectful atmosphere. The next is brainstorming solutions. Encourage both parties to come up with potential solutions to the conflict. Brainstorming this allows for creative problem solving and fosters a sense of ownership in finding resolutions. Last two, collaborative decision making. Involve everyone in the decision making process to reach a consensus on how to resolve the conflict. Collaborative decision making increases commitment to the agreed solution. And lastly, follow up. Make sure that you follow up and make sure that the problem is solved and that they are constructively moving forward and keeping the solution in place and whatever they're doing. Next, we want to talk about sustaining healthy relationships over time. And here we're talking about continuous efforts to nurture and strengthen relationships. And one of them is regular communication. Maintaining open and regular communication with team members to stay connected and informed about their progress, challenges, and needs. There's various communication channels that you can use, like, for instance, team meetings, one-on-one check-ins, emails, chat platforms. And what you want to do with these is foster continuous and ongoing dialogue. And here are, again, some tips I want to highlight. I've spoken about them before. The one is active listening. The next one is celebrate achievements, offer support and guidance. Make sure that you make personal connections, not just between you and the team members, but also encourage exercises where personal connection can be made between team members as well. Foster team building activities. We spoke about this before. Provide development opportunities. Seek feedback, and not just get feedback, but act on it. All right. Recognize and address burnout. I want to pause here and just say, be mindful of team members' well-being and be alert to signs of burnout. Offer support and implement strategies to prevent and address burnout, such as encouraging work-life balance and providing opportunities for rest and rejuvenation. Sometimes I'll see a team member is stressed, overburdened, and really having a difficult time, and I'll tell them, please go home, rest, come back better tomorrow. And I obviously want to lead by example here. So developing a personal action plan for ongoing relationship development starts with self-reflection. If you reflect on your current relationship building skills and the state of your existing relationships, you want to identify strengths and areas for improvement in how you interact with your team. And here are some guidelines. First, set specific goals. Define goals where you could include improving active listening, providing more frequent feedback, or enhancing collaboration. Identify target relationships. You want to determine which specific relationships you want to focus on strengthening. Consider both individual team members and stakeholders with whom you interact regularly. Assess the communication style. Every person has a different way of communicating. You want to evaluate your style and identify ways of enhancing it. Consider whether you need to be more approachable, clearer in your communication and messaging, or more empathetic in your interactions. Implement empathy and understanding. We spoke about this before, but you want to practice empathy by putting yourself in other people's shoes and seek to understand their perspectives and emotion. This skill fosters deeper connections and stronger relationships. We spoke about scheduling regular check-ins. You want to schedule regular check-ins and touching base with your team members so you can discuss their progress, their challenges, and their goals. These meetings provide an opportunity for you to offer support and build rapport. Seek feedback. We spoke about that before. Create opportunities for interactions. For instance, organize team building activities or social events where people can engage. These interactions can help strengthen relationships outside of formal work meetings. Establish trust-building exercises. You want to implement practices that build trust, such as keeping commitments, being transparent in your decision-making, and providing opportunities for growth and recognition. You want to encourage continuously learning and adapting. Be open to continuous learning and improvement. Stay receptive to feedback. Adjust your approach as is needed and actively seek opportunities to enhance your relationship building skills. Celebrate milestones and evaluate progress. Regularly assess your progress in developing and nurturing relationships. Review your action plan periodically and make adjustments based on the outcomes and feedback. And so I want to conclude this session by just saying, what are my highlights? What is my things? And I think celebrations is, so in my teams that I develop, I have a team vision, what I love a team to look like. And we speak to culture quite often. And I say, in the culture of my team, there's 5 things that's very important to me, but 2 of them stand out for me in this session. And one of them is edification, that is building other people up. And 2 is celebration, celebrating just the wins and everything that you have done. And so I want to conclude by that and ask you, what is your one takeaway from today, from this lesson? Even if you're watching this as a replay, post for me, what are you taking away from this session today, as we are focused on relationships in leadership and how that is important in becoming a better leader. And lastly, again, if you like what you heard today and want to level up your leadership potential, skills, and impact, look out for the registration link for my weekly mastermind. This is a premium leadership group coaching program where I take you to the next level in your leadership, 90 minutes at a time. And so I want to give you an opportunity not just to tell me what was the takeaway for today, but also share with me any questions that you might have. Post them in the comments, and I want to pay attention to those. Thank you very much for being part of the session today. I really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to engaging with you and connecting with you again next week. And just to give you a little bit of a teaser, if you will, I want to just go and speak to what are we looking forward to next week. And next week, we are going to look at spirituality. How does that play a part in your leadership and development? Thank you so much for being part of this. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week.